We must provide our youths with meaningful opportunities to grow and to prosper. We must embrace a new development paradigm. In this context, I am pleased to report that His Majesty the King has announced the establishment of the Gelifu Mindfulness City. The Gelifu Mindfulness City is a transformative vision for future urban spaces, a blueprint for living mindfully and sustainably. Spanning 2,600 square kilometers of pristine forests and fertile farmlands, it will enable human innovation and natural ecosystems to thrive together while fostering human well-being, environmental sustainability, and mindful living. We invite thought leaders, innovators, and investors to join us in building this groundbreaking city, contributing to a model of peace, harmony, and progress that others can follow. Excellencies, Bhutan's story is one of hope, but it is also a call to action. More than 50 years have passed, and only 7 nations have graduated from the LDC category, leaving 46 countries still in need. This is unacceptable. The international community must intensify its efforts to ensure that no nation is left behind, that all LDC countries achieve graduation. To accomplish this, we must address poverty, inequality, and vulnerability with a renewed sense of urgency. The Pact for the Future, which we adopted collectively at the Summit of the Future, provides us with a roadmap to transform the lives of the world's most vulnerable. However, transforming the future requires that we also transform institutions shaping it. The United Nations must evolve to meet the realities of today's world. The Security Council as it stands is a relic of the past. We need a council that reflects the current geopolitical, economic landscape, and social realities. Bhutan has long advocated for the reform of the Security Council to make it more representative and effective. For this, India, with its significant economic growth and population and leadership of the Global South, deserves a permanent seat at the Security Council. Similarly, Japan, a leading donor and peace builder, warrants permanent membership. Excellencies, in conclusion, let me reiterate our deep gratitude for the support we have received on Bhutan's journey to LDC graduation. Now we are committed to sustaining this progress, but we will need your continued support. In this regard, we invite your support and investment in initiatives like the Gelifu Mindfulness City. However, as we celebrate Bhutan's progress, we must also intensify our efforts to support other LDCs, ensuring that they too can achieve graduation. In this regard, the role of the United Nations is more critical than ever, reinforcing the imperative for multilateralism in addressing the global challenges we face. As we look to the future, I have the honor to close by repeating a profound message from His Majesty, our beloved King. I first did so 7 years ago, and I repeat, no nation today can stand alone in achievement. Time is slowly telling us that there can be no lasting individual success without success as a community. And there cannot be lasting national progress and success if it does not fit into a future of global peace, harmony, and equality. The world must progress together or fail together. Thank you, and Tashidile.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Bhutan. The Assembly will now hear an address by His Excellency Xavier Espot-Zamora, Head of the Government of the Principality of Andorra. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Señor Presidente,
Mr. President, Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin by extending my congratulations to His Excellency Mr. Philemon Yang on his election as President of the 79th General Assembly. I would like to thank you, President, for having chosen unity in diversity, sustainable development and human dignity everywhere for everyone as the theme. Andorra could not be any more in agreement than we are with this goal, which we fully support, because my country is a tangible, real proof that people are able to live together peacefully for more than 800 years. Indeed, thanks to our understanding and mutual respect shown by our inhabitants, our country has never had a war and we've never had an army. Andorra has always been an oasis of peace, tolerance and cohabitation, including during the most troubled times of the old continent. I'd also particularly like to thank the Secretary-General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, for his perseverance, for always preferring the path of conciliation, and for his message in favor of international law and against climate change. I would also like to stress the impetus that the Secretary-General has given to the Summit of the Future, which gave rise to the Pact for the Future that my country has signed. The goal of this is to strengthen the multilateral system, to adopt concrete measures to address new challenges and establish a roadmap to address existential risks to humanity, civilization, and most people on Earth. Classical authors, they are the basis of Western culture. They tell us, and I use the present tense because they never die, they say that all speech is vain and empty unless it be accompanied by action. What is important are the things that we do throughout our lives. All civilizations are born in specific circumstances, and very often they go down in history thanks to their conquests. But what is the conquest of this civilization? What is its vocation? And what is the heritage that it will leave behind? Or rather, what is the conquest, vocation and heritage that we want this civilization to leave to future generations? Ladies and gentlemen, today in the West we very often forget that democracy goes over and above simply putting your ballot in the box every 4 or 5 years. The very substance of the concept of democracy is the values involved: dignity, tolerance, equality, freedom, respect for people and nations. These values are human rights, the rights that this General Assembly has decided to protect 76 years ago by adopting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It would seem that the spirit in which this declaration was forged, a symbol of peace and dignity following 2 devastating world wars, is fading little by little. The forward march of extremist political positions is a reaction in the light of something that is viewed as a threat, an order that's viewed as a threat. The feeling that a recent past has been lost and it's better than the present, that has invaded current generations, and heightened by the idea that climate change will worsen living conditions and that globalization and migration flows will dilute and depersonalize our societies, and that children and young people today will live less well than their parents did. We find ourselves at a key moment in history where the debate cannot be hidden behind rhetorical language to avoid this situation. We will soon be celebrating the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, and this organization must continue to be the cornerstone of our world, to be an organization where states and the nations that make it up are moving in the same direction with the same goal to respond effectively to the great challenges of our times in order to leave future generations a heritage which promises hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we have never had so many tools to bring about cooperation and dialogue. In the light of a very complex reality, but convinced as we are of the equality between nations, we must ensure the implementation of the Charter of the United Nations, strengthened by the pillars of the defense of human rights as well as the defense of international humanitarian law. Those are the things, and those alone, that must govern relations between states. The serious situations in Ukraine, Gaza, Lebanon and Sudan and other regions where we see conflicts that have become permanent, particularly in the region of the Sahel, we cannot remain indifferent to these. We must urgently become mobilized to achieve the most noble goal of politics, peace. We must come together and find solutions to conflicts without violence or recourse to military resources. We would call upon all parties to work for peace and that they respect international humanitarian law and that the impact of climate change on children and armed conflict. When I